unique position because he's the first person that's gone through the Simian fighting method application or module, however we want to phrase it. That's not the only thing he's done. He's come here. We're in Southeast Asia, and he's been training. But we want to speak to him so that you'll know, that people will know about the Simian fighting method. And so basically, I think it's important to know that Sam has a background in Muay Thai. He's trained in Thailand in Muay Thai, also the United States. He's done some grappling contests, right? Yeah. And so he comes here and he did some kung fu for those of you, those of you who.
That was my stepping off point. Yeah.
Yeah. So he's not coming here as someone with no background. He's had some background in other things. So that gives him a good vantage point to make decisions and inform you about what he thinks. So basically, if you were to, how would you explain to somebody what the Simian the Simian method is?
I mean, I don't know what I can say without giving too much away.
Yeah.
But I guess I would just say, if I had to boil it down to a simple answer, it would be how to use what you already have naturally, basically. So how you can do things like simple movements or that are effective in fighting, that will work on people, and that can, get, like, I don't know what people are training for, but it's a lot. It doesn't have to be hard stuff, you know what I mean? It doesn't have to be this difficult.
Yeah. Well, that you bring up there's a few different points there that you brought up. That's good. For example, the movement, because the first thing that you did was learning new movements, right?
Yeah, that was really weird, actually.
Yeah. So obviously we're not going to talk about what those really are.
Yeah.
But we can let's talk about what your feelings were and your experiences of that, and what the effects were of that.
Yeah. I mean, I guess so. The biggest thing for me was like doing this Muay Thai stuff before, and doing like grappling training or whatever sport fighting training that I've done. Was like I always had to switch modes into that training, right? So like, for example, for Muay Thai, I would have to put my hands up, I'd have to tuck my chin, I would have to do all this stuff to get into Muay Thai mode. And then, but with this stuff, it was natural, right? It was a lot of stuff that I don't have to like change modes. I'm already in the mode already, like permanently, basically. So, I mean, I don't think I'm giving away too much to say, like, it's stuff with walking, right? Like, little details on how I walk and stuff. So, just because I walk everywhere, right? I just walk in life. Everybody walks every day. So, I don't have to pack my bags and go to training to train it. You know what I mean? Like, I can just do it.
Yeah, and I guess, but I mean, okay, so people are going to say, yeah, natural, they're not going to get that. That's okay. That's because we're just trying to give an overview of things.
Yeah.
But what did you find that doing this movement did for you? Like the different movements, because there's actually several, right? But what was the benefit of doing these movements, I guess? That's what people are going to want to know, right? So,
sure.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, I guess, so with balance, actually, especially, because I've always been not very balanced and coordinated.
Yeah.
But, like, I don't know. I don't want to sound like a used car salesman too much, right? But I do feel a lot more balanced and coordinated after doing this training. Like, it gave me some ideas of, like, how I can, like, move around and,
differently, actually, right?
Yeah, differently, and also, like, the strikes too.
That's a good place. Let's go into that. Okay. For example, I guess let's tackle it from the beginning thing. That's very important. Like when you're talking about the Muay Thai and the grappling and the other stuff, or the boxing or whatever.
Yeah.
We're dealing with the sport fighting.
Right.
And so how is this completely different than the sport fighting, which leads us into the things too, so we can.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, it's like, I mean, in sport fighting, you warm up first, and you wrap your hands in, or you put on gis, or you put on specific clothes that you aren't going to ever find in reality, right?
Yeah.
And people are training this and just saying like, oh, we can use this for self-defense after, like it doesn't work though. It's like, I mean, I guess an analogy I could use would be like trying to get like an electrician to do a plumber's job,
yeah,
or something like that. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
Some of this stuff doesn't carry over, frankly, because like you are used to certain conditions, certain predictable conditions. That's another thing. Is there's a lot of stuff that's predictable about a sport fighting environment that you know the pattern and the routine.
Right.
But as soon as you get taken out of that pattern and that routine in the street, like, you know, like say you're walking down the street and you just get attacked out of nowhere, right? Like you can't just
switch modes
like that. Yeah, you gotta go.
Well, okay, and so some of that, because it's not sport fighting, it's real fighting.
Yeah.
That it's a complete paradigm shift, isn't it? That's one of the biggest things, isn't it?
Yeah, changing your paradigm, your worldview.
Yeah, it's completely, and that's liberating.
It is pretty, yeah.
It's what we say, and actually Brandon and I have said for many years. You can find it on some tapes and DVDs and stuff where, you know, cry freedom, right? Yeah. So it's there. But let's example, you were introduced to some new types of striking that you never have seen before, right?
Yeah, no.
And other people haven't seen it either, have they?
No, they haven't.
Yeah, they haven't seen it, and it's completely a surprise, right?
Yeah. They don't know what's coming.
Yeah.
Kind of want to go out and beat people up for no reason just because it's so fun. But, I mean, I'm not.
But
anyway.
Okay, so one of the moves, and that people are already picking up because I've already mentioned it, is the frying pan.
Yeah.
So how? Let's not show them or anything, but how devastating, and that's really that's really the right word, I think, isn't it? How devastating is the frying pan?
I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of it, that's for sure.
Yeah, and how long does it take to learn it, really,
Like a couple hours. And even that, it took longer for me to learn, but it's because, I had training on straight punches and stuff already.
Yeah.
And it's just so different from a straight punch. It's not a straight punch at all. And so I had all this straight punch motion wired into me that I had to unlearn. And someone who, just like a normal person, I guess because it's just someone with no training in that regard, is going to learn it even quicker than that. And it took me a couple hours of training.
And the thing is, it's whacking hard, isn't it? It's a big whack, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the same thing with another thing that we're calling the gorilla smash. The gorilla smash is another. It's people are going to think that they've seen it, but they really haven't seen it, right? It's once again, it's like thinking Italian is Spanish.
Yeah.
It's not though, and it's in this case, it's the frying pan's completely different, but the smash, they're going to think, oh yeah, that's whatever, but it's not, is it? It's and the thing about it then is that the big deal would be how would you say your confidence is after a short period of time, for a real fight as opposed to
for a real fight.
For a real fight.
I thought I was prepared before, and I just had no idea. I've always been known in my little circle of friends back home as martial arts Sam, right? That guy who trains and does his little weird thing, that's his passion or whatever. So they always looked at me as, oh, if we ever get in a fight, we need Sam. But I never really felt like I was deserving of that in a way, you know what I mean? But,
you weren't ready.
I was not ready, honestly, what I was doing before did not prepare me for, what actually happens in a real fight. And again, I don't want to give away too much, but also, just the fear factor, which is...
Yeah.
But the fear, makes it,
a different event.
A completely different event,
and that's something that's a lot of people don't cover, you know.
Yeah.
Then and by sport training, they never really face that. I mean, they face fear in the sports setting, but it's totally different because you did drills where you were in condition for sport fighting, but suddenly these drills that we were doing for real fighting were like real difficult, weren't they? And 30-second ones.
Yeah. It was 30 seconds, and it was like a lot of. It was just not pattern stuff. That's what I think I can say. It's like it wasn't like do 2 jabs, then do 2 crosses.
Yes.
Like I never had an opportunity to get a rhythm going, or I never got an opportunity to set a tempo, or like that kind of thing. Yeah.
So, okay, let's go from the Simian stuff then to an overview of everything, because you also did you did some combat JKD training.
Yeah.
And then you did some Comrock Boss stuff, and then you did knife stuff. You started on some knife work, and then you also did a little bit of the CXS things, which is, I'm not going to talk about that. I won't talk about that. But the so on the combat JKD stuff, would it be fair to say that nobody has ever done that sort of training before?
Me?
Yeah, and have you seen anybody ever do that sort of training?
Not really, no. Like, I mean, there's a reason I came all the way out to Southeast Asia for it, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, I don't know. I don't want to sound like a used car salesman, but I will just say, like, there's a reason I came this far distance to do what I did, and I'm a genius is what he's trying to say. I'll say it. I'm a genius. But okay. But then the Comrock Boss, you really like the philosophy behind that. Go ahead and give people a little bit about that, because that would be good. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure. I mean, so I'm gonna sound a little morbid or whatever, but you know, everybody's got to die at some point. That's just an unavoidable fact, right? And so that sort of leads me to look at life as this game to play of, well, how long can you live? Because we're gonna die anyway, so you might as well just live as long as you can, because what else can you do? Like, if you don't play the game to the fullest point it can possibly be played, if you don't live as long as you possibly can, you might as well just
pack it in. Pack it in.
So I really like the name Comrack Boss, because I mean, you were explaining to me it was Irish Gaelic for death fighting. Fighting against death. Literally. And that's the reason I got into martial arts in the first place, was because I wanted to, partly because I wanted to protect myself and all that, but just because I wanted to live,
survive. And okay, you just started the knife work. But how did you because we did some hardwiring. We definitely did some hardwiring with the knife work. And how radically different is that from anything you've done? I'm not just, I'm not talking just about the knife work, but just the hardwiring, just the fact of hardwiring. Have you done that before,
Not to this capacity. I mean, I have done it a little, in terms of in
Muay Thai
fighting. In Muay Thai, I've thrown a lot of things. But, this was completely different in the speed which I did it, right? I did some techniques, and I just had to do them so quickly and just over and over and over again. That it really did hardwire it. Much more quickly.
You were under stress, a lot more stress.
Under a lot more stress.
Yeah, you were under a lot more stress doing that knife work stuff. So, I think something that a lot of people are confused about, and that's people who've done martial arts, which I don't like that term, but people have done self-defense or sport fighting or whatever, they think that if it's simple, it's no good. Right?
And those guys who are like, you must practice 1,000 times to get the perfect blah, blah, blah.
And you definitely, the value here is in the fact that you can get, the things you're doing, for example, just the Simian stuff, for example, was very quickly learn, right?
Yeah.
And
yeah.
but it has a huge return on investment, doesn't it? That,
Sure.
I think that's
Sure.
really like I try to tell people, and you can tell them if you agree that the return on investment is higher doing this than anything else.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, like, it's definitely higher than anything I've ever done before.
Yeah.
In the sense of like how quickly I